Welcome to watch the tutoring film of Fullcom Automotive Parts. Today, Fullcom will introduce to our audience how to replace your automotive alternator. An automotive alternator is used for charging the battery of a vehicle, applying power to the electric appliances or devices installed. If your vehicle is sometimes out of electricity, for example, the headlight is dimming or the internal illumination is not enough, the battery might still be good, but it couldn't be fully charged by the current from the alternator to keep the vehicle driving properly. That means you need to replace the alternator. Before you start the replacement, the preparation procedures for the new alternator are quite important. First, you need to know the maker, model and year of production of the vehicle. Knowing that information, you could go to the official website of Fullcom to search the correct alternator product suitable for your own vehicle. When you purchase and acquire the Fullcom product, you can verify the product model via the contents of product labels on the package. You can also confirm the model directly from the labels on the product after you take the alternator out of the packaging box. We recommend that you rotate the pulley of the alternator with bare hands to check if the alternator rotates smoothly when you have your new alternator arrived. You can also check the appearance of the alternator. For example, is the plastic part broken? Is there excessive flash of material of the end frames? These defects mentioned above may affect the performance and durability of your alternator. After a simple examination of the new alternator, it is important to choose the right tools for the replacement. We will demonstrate how to replace the alternator by a Toyota passenger car. The type of tools used for the replacement could be a ratchet wrench, sockets of correct dimension, open-ended spanners, plus and minus type screwdrivers, breaker bar, pray bar, etc. Also a multimeter might be necessary. It depends on the variety of different vehicles. Before we start, always adhere to the safety precautions. First, make sure your vehicle is parking on an even ground if you have to lift it up with a jack. Even though you don't have to lift it up with a jack, parking on an even ground will facilitate the replacement a lot. Ensure your vehicle has stopped running and is engaged with parking brakes. Disconnect the cable of the battery negative terminal by releasing the fastening bolt and nut with wrench and socket. The negative terminal is the one shown with a minus symbol. The cable can be pulled off from the terminal after releasing the bolt. You don't need to disconnect the cable on the battery positive side. For the safety reason, never proceed with the disassembly of alternator without disconnecting the battery. The alternator is generally mounted on the side equipped with the drive belt of the engine bay. Loosen the nut on the terminal B+ side of the alternator and remove the power cable. If there is a ground wire connected, you also need to remove it. The power cable is the cord connecting alternator and battery. You may need to use a ratchet wrench or an open-ended spanner to deal with it, depending on the workspace under the hood. Sometimes a pry bar would be helpful as well. Pick off the wiring harness from the alternator's plug by pressing the clip on the harness or pulling the harness off directly. Put the bolts, nuts, washers, shims and other parts from this assembly in an orderly arrangement. Fold up the loose wiring to prevent from damage. Unscrew the bolts which secure the alternator. Unfasten the tension screws of the drive belt and remove the belt from the alternator's pulley. Some vehicles use auto tensioners. You have to release the auto tensioner before taking off the belt. If the bolts can slide from side to side in the alternator bracket, it does not have an auto tensioner. This vehicle is not equipped with an autotensioner. Remove the fixing bolts and take the old alternator out of the engine bay. Clean the dirty and rusted connectors and terminals with ragged cloth and derusting lubricant if necessary. Compare the new alternator to the old one. Check the mounting bracket holes, positions and size. Make sure the signal plugs for the wiring harness are in the same shape. Compare the profile of the two pulleys. Now we will start the installation process. Put on the new alternator in the mounting position. Insert the bolts through the holes in the alternator mounting brackets. Screw the mounting bolts with hands to snug tight to prevent from wobbling during the installation. Reinstall the drive belt on the pulley of the alternator. Before you do this, you should check the serpentine pattern of the belt for excessive wear and fracture. Confirm the belt is put in place on the alternator pulley. Tighten up the mounting bolts to specified torque. Please refer to the user's manual of your vehicle for the standard of tightening torque. Turn the tension screw to adjust the belt to proper tension. If your vehicle does not equip with auto tensioners, for some old-fashioned vehicle you need to use a pry bar to hold the alternator until the belt is tight enough. Connect the power cable to the terminal B+ side of the alternator and screw up the nut on it to specified torque. Then reconnect the ground wire to the bolt. The installation sequence is quite the reverse of the disassembly method. The main power cable and ground wire should be fastened to the alternator firmly. Reconnect the wiring harness to the plug of the alternator. After the installation, we will proceed with the inspection. Check the belt runs properly in place. Confirm all the parts are installed without missing. Reconnect the cable to the negative terminal of the battery. Make sure all the tools are removed from the engine bay. Start the engine to observe the alternator running smoothly without abnormal sound. Measure the voltage difference between positive and negative terminals of the battery. If your vehicle is 12 volts power system, the voltage should be 14.5 volts plus minus 0.3 volt. Most passenger cars use 12 volt power systems. You just watched the tutoring film for alternator replacement provided by Fullcam. If there is any question, inquiries or suggestions for the demonstration today, please don't hesitate to contact us via Fullcam worldwide website. Fullcam will serve you sincerely.